We saw how the Victory 2 had some dramatic changes to its weaponry as a result to a difference in foe, namely the transition from all-out destructive ability during the Clone Wars to ion cannons and tractor beams, which are better for capturing rebels. But what would a Victory 3 look like? What's up, MetaNerdz? This is a fan-made design of the successor to the Victory 2. It was made by Adam Kopp, and Shogun Eagle made some stats so that it could be used in the Star Wars D6 role-playing game, and I generally agree with these stats. With the Victory 3, we see how the Empire responded to the increase in rebel strength over the later years of the Galactic Civil War. It was introduced in 5 ABY, a year after the Battle of Endor, and so was produced for the Imperial Remnant. The New Republic would have taken over Kuat drive yards by this point, and this explains the dramatic change in weaponry and overall look. During the Old Republic era, Rendili Hyperworks created some of the galaxy's best capital ships, but over the years they lost that top spot. Almost all the capital ships for the Republic and Empire were made by Kuat drive yards. But with that loss, Rendili stepped up to provide a new Star Destroyer for a new opponent. This third installation shows a cool story of the Victory class. The V1 was made for all-out destruction during the Clone Wars. The V2 was made to neutralize and capture rebels alive during the Galactic Civil War, and the V3 was made for an empire that was dwindling. And so Rendili came up with some interesting ways to combat this new threat. Their Star Destroyer design has these more rounded shapes, but it's their weapon choice that's really interesting. Concussion missile tubes were brought back for the V3, but now with variable munition launchers. On board this ship, you could have your standard missiles for ship-to-ship warfare, with the ever-growing size of the New Republic fleet, or fire what were called shrapnel missiles. This essentially allowed the Victory 3 to be a sort of heavy artillery or a flak gun, but also it had what you would actually think of as flak guns as well. And let me explain why you would want both shrapnel missiles and flak guns. It's pretty cool, and something I wish we saw a lot more of. Most of the shields in Star Wars are energy shields, blocking laser cannons and plasma from turbolasers. Remember, blasters and most weapons in this universe are called lasers, but actually fire balls of plasma. But only particle shields stop solid physical objects. Most ships are covered in energy shields, allowing ships to fly in and out just fine. And it's how you can fly out of a hangar, but you can't shoot into it. Well, to be more accurate, you can't shoot laser cannons into it. Shrapnel torpedoes can fly right through your hangar shield, being either actively guided or just fired incredibly accurately via targeting computers. They can go so much further than a flak gun and be delivered to a specific point, whereas flak cannons were intended to be used at a much shorter distance, making a cloud of debris that was more intended for defense. This combination on the V3 allows you to fire these shrapnel missiles straight through the enemy shields, and even their hangar, while it will then explode into a cloud of deadly metal. A bonus is that even if those ships in the hangar had their shields on, the solid shrapnel would pass straight through those as well. Then when the New Republic starfighters did get close to the Victory 3, the more conventional flak guns would open up, lining the sides and then more densely packed around the bridge. Here is a great time to bring up the placement of the shield projectors. Kuat may have gotten comfy with their contracts, so Rendili decided that instead of sticking them up on top like a beacon to all adversaries, they are tucked behind the bridge. Also, the enormous communication tower and forward observation station of its predecessors were removed, with the comms being built into this rear fin structure. They increased the overall length by 100 meters, bringing it to 1,000 meters or 3,281 feet. About a tall Zillo beast shorter than the Venator, and 62.5 the size of the Imperial class. This increase in size allowed for a larger complement of ships and vehicles, as well as more power storage and Tabana gas for weapon systems. It doubled the amount of TIE fighters to 4 squadrons or 48 ships total, 6 Lambda shuttles, 12 AT-ST walkers, 4 of the smaller juggernauts, the HAVW-A5, and 20 TX-130 fighter tanks. Remember, this was for the Imperial Remnant, so they're scooping up all the ships and vehicles that are left, often some Clone Wars holdovers. And although there was an increase in the need for pure destructive ability, it also increased the ion cannons and tractor beams. You can imagine how the flak and shrapnel torpedoes actually sync well with the original goal of capturing rebels alive, as these now New Republic VIPs would usually not be in starfighters or the hangar bay, but commanding from the bridge. So if you're hoping to take out the New Republic and reinstall the Empire, you can have your V3 obliterate all the starfighters that were sent out, while hoping to ion and disable the NR ship so that you can capture them and extract intel, as well as provide a morale boost for those that still support the Empire. The increased hull size allows for beefier shield generators and a better hyperdrive, with a near 800 point increase in SPD rating, and an almost unheard of Class 0.5 hyperdrive. That's absurdly fast, and something you don't see on any Star Destroyers, or even most starfighters. And for all this, its overall crew is only increased by 393. Now as for the purpose of these unique looking rounded devices on the sides, I like to think that they, along with all the other rolling edges throughout this thing, help to give it a more powerful shield. You can see this tube containing a series of projectors, and this isn't really why, but the more organic looking, rounded ships of the Mon Cala have some of the strongest shields in the galaxy. So maybe there's something to how that shape helps protect the ship, or it just has to do with preventing detection from the New Republic. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But either way, it adds to the cool fact that the Victory is always a sign of its times. The sides of the Victory started out as being massive, missile-spamming devices, and now with the Imperial Remnant being hunted by the New Republic, they're now either for defense or evasion. So that's it for the breakdown. Again, it's a fan-made ship, but I really like how it fits into existing Legends lore, so I just wanted to highlight it. And I'm gonna do a video on flak/shrapnel weapons soon, so keep an eye out for that. And check out the links to see the roleplay write-up for this ship, and see all the other amazing work by Adam Kopp. If you want to connect with us on social media, find ways that you can help support this channel without it costing you a thing, or check out our Patreon. Be sure to check out the links in the description. Special shout out to our supporters over on Patreon, but most important of all, remember, the V3 torpedoes will hunt you down in your own hangar bay, and the Force will be with you, always.